Hello and welcome to Catching Up with the Clemenses, brought to you by the Mark Twain House and Museum in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm Jody and I care for the museum's collections.
And I'm Erin. I coordinate school programs here at the museum. We're here outside the house to talk about how the kids who grew up here played outside in the winter.
In our last episode, we talked about one activity that the Clemens family, especially the three girls, loved doing inside, reading. In the winter, they loved to curl up here in the library with a good book. They'd also make popcorn and roast nuts in the fireplace and generally have a good time. But they also loved to play outside.
Take a look around. How would you play here if you could? The most popular winter activity was, as you probably guessed, sledding, or sliding, as it was often called by this family. In their letters, we have many accounts of the children getting new sleds, and one year their father even sent them a big toboggan when he was on a trip to Canada. Susie, Clara, and Jean weren't the only kids in this neighborhood, though, and they often went sledding with their friends in the area, especially Daisy Warner, who lived next door. When her father was away, Clara made sure to update him on the winter activities of the neighborhood.
Mama bought Susie and me some lovely sleds yesterday, and 3 of us can sit on one sled, Susie, Daisy, and I. And if we crowd up a good deal, there's room for Jean to sit on. They are so lovely and wide, such lovely pictures and colors on them. My sled is red and Susie's white. Mama thinks it's pretty likely that we will wake up tomorrow morning with snow outdoors, and it's getting colder and grayer, and the wind blows like everything.
In our pets episode, we told you about the Clemenses' big dog Flash. One winter, Claire tried to get Flash to pull her on her sled, with limited success. Another time, after spending 20 minutes climbing all the way back up this hill. Well, let's hear Claire tell that story.
This morning, we were sliding. Flash was there, and I was nearly to the top, and he was standing up at the top by a tree. I held out my hand to take hold of his paw to pull myself up. He gave me his paw and pulled me up, and I was just going to get up. But what did he do but take his nose and poke up my head, and I slid halfway down the hill and had all the hard work to do over again. But he was very sweet.
Sledding wasn't just for kids, though. The girls' father, Sam, enjoyed sledding with the whole family, and one evening he pulled the girls' mother, Livy, on a sled to their neighbor's house for dinner. Even when Jean was grown up herself, she talked about building up a big bump of snow in the middle of the hill so that she could sled or ski over it and go flying in the air for a little bit. But what if you were a kid or a grown-up in Hartford who didn't have a big hill like this to sled down? Where could you go?
One thing you could do is head down to the south end of the city and go down a toboggan slide. Toboggan slides were really popular in the late 19th century. They were kind of like a combo of sledding down a hill and going down a roller coaster. A very long, steep wooden track would be packed with snow and ice and tamped down till it was all smooth. Then you'd climb up to the top with your toboggan and slide down the whole way. The total length of the slide in Hartford was 1,300 feet. Do you know how long that is? So 1,300 feet is about a quarter of a mile. It's nearly 4 football fields long. If you got on that same slide right here, you would barely be past the initial 300-foot drop by the time you got to the far end of our parking lot.
But how would you get to the toboggan slide if all the roads were icy and snowy? In a sleigh. This is another fun winter activity for the Clemens girls, but it was also one of the best ways to get around safely when it was snowy. A sleigh is like a very big sled that you can sit in, like a carriage, but with metal runners along the bottom instead of wheels. Patrick the coachman would hitch the horses up to the sleigh, just like Claire did with Flash on the sled. One of their other favorite activities is one that's a little hard to imagine looking around the grounds today. When the Clemens family lived here, the Park River flowed right by the house at the bottom of the hill. When it froze over, the Clemens girls, and all the kids in the neighborhood, enjoyed ice skating on it. Just like sleds, the girls got new pairs of skates every few years, often for Christmas. Why would they need new skates every so often?
One thing you may have noticed when we film here in the library is all of these plants down at one end. In our next episode, we'll talk about this area of the house and answer the question, how are all of these plants so green and beautiful, even in the winter? Do you have a question for us? You can send us an email at catchingup@marktwainhouse.org or send us a letter at the Mark Twain House and Museum, 351 Farmington Avenue, Hartford, Connecticut, 06105. Along with your question, tell us your first name, your age, and what city or town you live in. If we feature your question in a future video, we'll be sure to give you a shout out. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.
We want to keep our educational materials accessible to all, but while these videos are free for you, they're not free for us. If you want to support the creation of Catching Up with the Clemenses videos and other educational programming here at the Mark Twain House Museum, please follow the link in the description below to donate now.